has moved its play-by-play microphones to the very heart of Spartan land, where this afternoon we bring you, direct from the Michigan State Stadium in East Lansing, the 1979 bloodletting between two of the oldest college football rivals in the country. Yes, sir, these Michigan Wolverines and these Michigan State Spartans have been battling on the old gridiron since way back in 1898, and some of those ball games have been out of this world. But you know, none of the Michigan State Donnybrooks down through the decades have had any more emotional buildup than this 1979 classic about to take place here this afternoon. All the excitement, electricity, tension, and charisma that surrounds big-time college football, it's been building all week long here in the land of the Spartans, as well as down in the Athens of the Midwest in Ann Arbor, Michigan. Yes, sir, Michigan, with fire in their eyes and revenge in their hearts. They've been waiting 12 long months to get back at these Jolly Green Giants for that humiliating 24-15 loss that Michigan suffered at the hands of Michigan State last October down in Ann Arbor. And then adding insult to injury, the head Spartan himself, the head honcho, had the audacity, the unmitigated gall to say there really were arrogant asses in Ann Arbor. Oh, that's been a bitter pill to swallow for the Wolverines. They want state today. They need state today. And believe you me, the Wolverines intend to have a piece of Michigan State here this afternoon. Today, the Michigan football.
Man, I tell you, that is a fantastic intro to any sporting event. And if you can't get pumped up for what Bob Buford just did right there, then you don't love football. Welcome back to Better Odds Sports Betting. I'm your host, Kiev O'Neill. We have a fantastic guest today, award-winning handicapper, huge contest guy, Mr. Las Vegas Cris, and obviously Kyle Hunter here by my side. How the heck you doing, guys?
Can you see the hair standing up? Seriously. Look at that.
There you go, buddy.
I grew up with that guy. I love that guy. Just some of the most amazing calls are out there available on the internet where the guy just goes nuts. You'd think the guy's going to have a coronary right on air.
There's nobody like this guy, and I'm really glad to do this for you. You're a Michigan guy yourself, and probably brings back a lot of memories, doesn't it?
Oh, yeah. I had season tickets to the Wolverines back in starting in the early 70s. I used to go to the games with my dad. I think we were row 76 on those flat benches. And it just seemed every couple of years they would add another seat and squeeze us even closer together like sardines. It's amazing. One of the greatest stadiums there is, and there's like no seats. It's just sitting on benches.
Yeah, just wonderful. Back in the day, man, when it was just smash mouth football and 14-7 was high. That was a big score sometimes, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Well, hey, man, really glad to have you on here. I mean, this is a massive weekend of college football. You have some amazing games here. I bet you Kyle's excited as well.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. I was just talking to Kiev about how trick or treat night happens to be Saturday night here. So I'm going to have to go trick or treat and then make a really fast beeline back to the TV Saturday night.
Yeah.
Oh, that means I have to turn off the lights in my house. God dang it.
Turn off the lights in your house. And yep, you will definitely get hounded if that's the case. But where I'm at, thank goodness it's Sunday. The Sunday night football game. We'll talk a little bit more about that later, but we'll see if something fun happens there. Well, this episode is being brought to you by BetUS. For a 125-cent sign-up bonus, please visit BetUS. Use the promo code BetterOdds. Terms, conditions, and location apply. Let's get into these awesome games then, guys. And what's funny about the games that we selected today is that we're a fan of each one of these big teams, and we might throw in one at the end depending upon time, another game. But we're going to start with Iowa versus Wisconsin. Wisconsin's laying -3.5. The total is 36. What are they? Is this Army versus Navy here? What's going on? That is a low total, guys. I mean, I've went under on some low totals, but that one's going to make me definitely scratch my head a little bit here. Being the Badger fan, as you can see behind me, the Camp Randall Stadium. I'll start here. Here's the thing: there's a reason why this total's high. Both teams are in the bottom 90 percentile in red zone efficiency out of all the teams in the league. That's pretty bad. And Wisconsin, I mean, the whole talk of what I've listened to throughout the week is Wisconsin has better metrics and the slightly harder schedule being that they have Michigan, Notre Dame, Penn State. But the turnover problems right there, they rank 123rd in turnovers while Iowa ranks first in turnover margin. How could you trust betting Graham Mertz in this situation against a ball hawking defense when Graham Mertz can't even hold on to the ball against normal teams? That's the way I look at it. Looking at this, Iowa allows 2.7 yards per rush. That's the only way Wisconsin can move the ball. Wisconsin ranks 129th in pass EPA. 129th, and there's FCS school. New Mexico ranks higher in pass EPA than Wisconsin. I don't know how they're going to move the ball against Iowa's defense here. So, you can say advanced metrics all you want, but this is a play on Iowa for me. I mean, when you have such a low total like 36 points are at a premium, I was shocked that it was above 3.5 for so long. I'm like, what the hell is these people thinking? I'm taking Iowa plus 3.5. Kyle, any thoughts on this one?
Yeah, plenty of thoughts here. I don't know if I'm going to take Iowa here, but that would certainly be my strong lean. This is a game where I can't trust Graham Mertz, like you said. 7.5% turnover worthy plays according to PFF this year. That's extremely high. Wisconsin's fumbled the ball 15 times this year, 9 interceptions. Wisconsin has played the tougher schedule and has the yards per play margin, and that's why the metrics people are going to take Wisconsin in this game. I understand the point, but it's hard to see how either team's going to move the football here. I don't trust Spencer Petras very much either from Iowa. So, the total is extremely low for a good reason. I can't bet under 36, Kiev. I mean, I can't bring myself to do that. I made this number 35, but I'm not betting the under. The small underdog with low total betting system, I think, makes sense in a game like this. Underdogs of 3 to 14 points with a total of 48 or lower. 564 and 437 against the spread in the last 15 years. That's 56.3%. I think this is one of those betting systems that does make sense because points are at a premium with such a low total. Iowa fits this one. If I'm betting this game, I have to bet Iowa. And I don't want to bet the over. I know some people have said they want to bet the over just because of the number, but no way would I want to bet the over here. I think that could be a tough one to watch if you bet the over. I'm going to lean Iowa and stay away from this total.
Yeah, just looking at the red zone efficiency really scares you away from the over. Chris, do you have anything on this game?
Yeah, I was busy. I wasn't distracted. I saw Lone Wolf 37 at MGM, so I bet the under 37 while you guys were babbling away. So I don't know how points are going to happen in this game. And this is just a reminder to anybody. You generally never even consider teasing college football, but this is the type of game where you just might be able to, depending on what you like in this game. For me, I lean toward. I didn't see the update on the point spread itself. Is it still 3.5, or is it coming down? 3.
It came down. It came down some, and I think it just depends upon what book
Split.
You're looking at.
Yeah.
Maybe it's a 3.3. It just depends upon where you're looking. There's some minus 120s here on the 3.5. There's also 3 plus 100 on the Wisconsin side. So
I bet
it did come down.
I bet Wisconsin yesterday -3 at Win. It's still sitting there at 3. And as you saw, I just took the under 37. I just don't understand how either one of these teams are going to move the ball, and then they both have problems getting it into the end zone. So that's what my thinking is. Am I reading this right? Wisconsin doesn't even gives up less than 2 yards per carry on the ground. How does Iowa move the ball?
Iowa moves the ball through some deception. It just depends upon Spencer Petras because he's tall and he can see over. The question is, will a big play be given up like Wisconsin gave up to Penn State? They're going to have to move the ball through the pass. Wisconsin's going to stuff them too. One thing about Iowa is that they've had 2 weeks to think about it. They're coming through the bye, so they had to draw. Kirk Ferentz had to draw something up for this game. That's the way I have to think about it. There's never been a time that I had Wisconsin higher than Iowa in my power ratings. So why would I change that because they had a letdown loss against Purdue? I mean, that just happens in football. I'm still going to stick with my side here, but I think we did this game justice for sure. I agree. The under would be the only way I could look if you put a gun to my head.
How do you guys handicap the letdown situation off to Purdue with the bye week in between? You think it's negated?
It's mostly negated, but it's something to think about. I'd say if I was looking to bet on them for sure.
Yeah, I mean, I think Wisconsin had a good showing against Purdue, but Purdue looked really poor in that game. Their tackling was extremely poor. Wisconsin could run the ball very easily. I'd be surprised if Wisconsin could run the ball easily against Iowa. Iowa with extra time to prepare for this game. Gosh, Chris, you're trying to talk me into betting an under 37. I don't know. It's hard to see how either team could score points. If somebody scores quick in this one, I could see a live under being a good bet.
37 somewhat key as well. 37.5 if you think you're going to get some people betting the over just because it's this low. Speaking of teasers, maybe you throw in San Diego State or something with this. And I mean, they have a great game against Fresno coming this weekend. So, just kind of making me think a little bit. Let's move on to the next game then, guys. This is the big one, in my opinion. I cannot believe, Chris, that Michigan and Michigan State are facing off 7-0. When you don't hear the birds chirping about how bad of a coach Jim Harbaugh is, you know that this team is doing well this year. But I mean, Michigan State blew my mind. This is the best game of the weekend, in my opinion. I'm going to let you start, Chris, because you are the Michigan man.
Well, here's another lesson. Always use your player's card number when you place a bet, because what I would be holding up right now, if I could find my lost futures tickets, which I've been looking for, I would be holding my Michigan State over 2 wins ticket, which I think looks pretty good as long as they finish the season. So
2 wins, is that it?
2 wins. So that's conference wins though.
Yeah. Oh, okay. But still, I mean, that's really low. That's a fantastic bet.
Yeah. So I bet that twice, actually. This is a really, really tough game. For me, I see Michigan has played, according to what I see, a little bit of a tougher schedule, but nothing matters in this game ever. You just don't know what's going to happen in these games, and you can throw out the handicaps usually if it doesn't matter what these teams look like. It's always unpredictable. So, unfortunately, I think taking the points here is probably the right way. I'd like to say that, and to be able to recommend a side. A lot of sharp people like the over, but I kind of think that it's going to be kind of a deliberate game, and I think it's going to be under. But I haven't actionably bet either or, so I'd like to offer more guidance on this. But I just think on these games, if it's not clear and blatantly obvious, I just stay off of home games. Just better off. I think Michigan's going to win the game. I think that they'll find a way to cover this somehow in an under game. But I think the smart thing here is probably to take anything that's over 4.5.
So yeah, I mean, in Michigan State, are they a home dog here? Past 3 is what I'm wondering. But I'm just giving you a hint of kind of what I'm doing. Kyle, what are you doing for this game?
I would have to take Michigan State if I was taking a side in this one, and I like the under as well. I think that a little bit of rain possible in this game, not too windy, but that could help a little bit. Similar teams, aggressive defenses. Michigan State with 26 sacks already this year. Michigan's extremely run heavy, so I think the key here is, does Michigan State stop the run? I think they'll at least slow down the run. I'm not sure if they can stop the run. Aiden Hutchinson is a star from Michigan. He actually ranks number 1 at PFF. For any defensive player in the country as far as the defensive grade. So Kenneth Walker, can he have much success against this Michigan defense? I think this is a Michigan team that's clearly a very good team. McNamara hasn't really proven himself, in the passing game against a good opponent yet. So we'll see if he's able to have a good game. Harbaugh's had a hard time in these national stage games, obviously. Laying this many points on the road against a good team. I mean, Michigan State's 6th in the nation at yards per play margin, 2.10 to the positive. Michigan's 16th. I just think that this is probably too many points. If I had to say who I think might win outright, That's a really hard one for me, but Michigan State plus the points, certainly my strong lean on the side, and I like the under. I think this is probably one of those grinders.
Yeah, there's no way I could bet the over in this game. Chris, you have something quick to say before I jump in?
I was just going to say one of the unusual things was Harbaugh's been adapting this year. He hasn't been as vanilla as in years past. And Michigan has shown when they face, like a Wisconsin that's going to bottle them up, and they'll go to the air. And that's a little bit different. So they've had success against both styles of defenses where if they're going to block one end of the game or one facet of the game or the other, then they have shown that they can go the other direction and either pass or run. So a little bit different for a Harbaugh team.
Yeah. I mean, Harbaugh is kind of who I thought he would become when he first started, going to Michigan. I mean, he was great at San Fran. He was great at Stanford, great at San Diego State. Finally he's kind of living up to some of those adjustments and everything. And I mean, Michigan State's got the edge passing the ball 9.2 yards per attempt to Michigan's 8. They're both at about 5.4 yards per rush. Michigan State's actually got a little bit better defense against the rush, 3.27 to 3.56. There's just no reason for me to not bet a dog when I'm looking at the metrics here. And I know Michigan's got a little bit harder schedule, but this is going to be a one-score game back and forth, in my opinion. I think this line's too big. I'm just going to stick with the dog, just like Kyle said, and you also lean towards as well, Chris. But, man, I can't wait. I wish this game was going to be a little later. It's an early one. Maybe that's a good thing. It's going to be on during the Wisconsin-Iowa game, which I find a little strange. But this game deserves a better slot, doesn't it?
It does.
All right, let's move on to the next game then. Penn State versus Ohio State. This is about – I wrote down 18.5. I think I see more 19s, though, on the board, Chris. And the total's around 60 here. Kyle, this is a big game for Ohio State. Finally, they're going to face a team that's more reputable, let's say. I'm going to let you – I know you're an Ohio State fan. You don't love to bet these games, but maybe you have something for us.
I don't love to bet Ohio State games. I love to just root for Ohio State. Ohio State's the best offense in the country right now, and I don't think many people would disagree with that. The way they've been playing here of late has been pretty tremendous. CJ Stroud was questionable at the beginning of the year. Has been really good here lately. Travion Henderson is the real deal at running back. Wide receivers are the best in the country. Really good offensive line. There is really no weakness on the Ohio State offense. They have 28 plays of 20 yards or more in their 4 Big Ten conference games. 7 plays of 20 yards or more per game in the Big Ten is fantastic. As a Buckeyes fan, I still don't trust their defense. I think their defense, while it has looked a lot improved here of late, think of who they've played in some of these games. They played Indiana with a 3rd and 4th string quarterback in the rain. They had a good defensive showing against Akron, but who doesn't have a good defensive showing against Akron? Rutgers was in there as well. Maryland with their injuries on offense. So I think that Penn State has a chance to move the ball through the air if Clifford's healthy. So I think that's the question here is Clifford healthy enough to throw it around? Dodson's a really good receiver. I think Ohio State will be able to run on Penn State fairly easily. Penn State was terrible against the run last week against Illinois. I know that they're going to want to try to stuff the run here and probably try to make Ohio State win through the air. But Ohio State's offensive line has an advantage against the Penn State defensive line. Ohio State's averaging 6.17 yards per carry. Penn State's 76th in rushing play success rate allowed. So as far as the total here, I don't have any strong lean. I want to bet Ohio State overs the rest of the season. So I'm kind of hoping this is a low scoring game. And then I can find some value betting overs in future games because I think Ohio State can score on just about everyone, but I think their defense is not as good as some people think.
Yeah, it's tough. I think their defense did get better since the Oregon game, but it's hard to say that when they played such bad competition. I thought Indiana was going to have a better game plan, and I made a mistake when the hook came above the 21 to take Indiana last week, and all of a sudden Ohio State in the rain looks like they're better than on dry weather last week. It was absolutely insane. Looking at CJ Stroud complete all those passes, I actually did bet CJ Stroud to hedge my Corral bet, Heisman bet at 5.5 to 1 on Sunday, just because of that performance, and his the rest of his games look pretty simple to me, except Michigan, maybe Michigan State too, obviously, but they're scoring, and nobody else is sticking out too much to me. But man, this spread, went from 11.5 to 19 after what happened last week. That is a massive adjustment. And I'm going to have to bet Penn State just because of that. I'm not sure if I'm going to be giving it out at all, but personally, I'm going to have a play on that. But the way I've always bet this game is Penn State first half, Ohio State second half. And I'm probably going to do it again because it's been working for me every single year for the past 3-4 years at least. Franklin's got to slow this game down. I know the total's 61. If he wants a chance, he can't get in a shootout with an Ohio State team with the best receivers in football. Wilson over there, Olave. Man, Ohio State's stacked in the receivers. And Penn State will probably try to grind it down a little bit. Maybe they're going to play a little bit soft and bend, don't break type defense. But if they tighten up enough in the red zone, there's going to be some field goals. I'm looking under 61. I haven't bet it yet, but that's where I'm leaning towards. I know that Penn State hasn't played a ton of great offenses, but this is just a massive game. My pure power number is Ohio State only minus 14.75. That's giving them 4 points for home field advantage in that game. If I gave them 5, it'd be closer to 16, as we know. So that's my thoughts on this one. Probably going to bet Penn State. Chris?
They joked about it at the start of the season that the Ohio State receivers are better than what the Lions have. So, and they're probably right. We gleefully take their receivers in Detroit.
Yeah.
The tax on this game is just too high with the big line jump. It's hard to step in front of Ohio State. They're looking just so strong right now. And this Penn State team is a shell of itself. It's a completely different team than we've seen in years past. And there's just something different. And coming off the last couple of games they've had, I'm not sure that they come back. Maybe this team really, just doesn't have it in them to we expected the letdown after Iowa, obviously, but we don't know. They could have another bad game. They could really, slow down the game and really come to play against Ohio State. I don't have a psychology degree that's good enough to figure it out. But I do lean toward the under also. I think it's their only pathway to not embarrassing themselves.
In letdown, it's funny because they had that week to think about it too, and they still let down, but they're also looking ahead to Ohio State, in that spot against Illinois. Illinois played the perfect way to beat Penn State and just got it. It's just one of those 1 out of 10 you get those, and that's what it was. But agreed. I think we're all in agreement kind of on this, on the side here in the total where we lean at least. Let's move on to another game. This could be, if the Michigan State's not a blowout, which we don't expect, SMU versus Houston's fun. I think that's a fun game because this is like second place to Cincinnati in the American Athletic Conference. Speaking of season win totals, Kyle and my SMU over is looking pretty well, Chris. So we have a nice little ticket on an undefeated team ourselves, and we're happy about that. But Houston's a much better team than I thought. I have to keep thinking about the Clayton Tune quarterback from Houston that I saw the last 3 years. When I look at this game, it's like, did he really improve this much? They both played a bottom 100 strength of schedule this year. Horrible strengths of schedules. I think Houston's might have been a little harder, but towards the end of the year, they don't have to play Cincinnati. So SMU eventually will have the harder schedule. But this is for second place here, this game in the American Athletic Conference. And if SMU wins this, that Cincinnati game should have college game day in that game themselves. SMU's got the better offense, 6.8 yards per play. Houston's got the better defense, allowing 4.6 yards per play. The spread's about pick 'em because I think SMU's a little bit better. I think the spread's perfect. The total's interesting. Both teams don't play a huge pace, but they are very efficient on offense. And the reason that their pace isn't huge is because they're blowing out a lot of teams. So they're slowing it down in the third. So I agree with some of the sharper movement that brought this from 60 to 62. But right now, I don't have a play on this. Kyle, anything real quick?
Houston's defense has been a lot better than I thought they would be. The question is, when they play a really good offense, what's going to happen? Houston has allowed just 23.4% on third down. They've only allowed 7 touchdowns on 15 trips into the red zone. I think there's some regression coming for the Houston defense. SMU is a really good offense. Mordecai's fit in really well. SMU's given up a ton of big plays, 39 plays of 20 yards or more so far this year. They're 24th in success rate on defense, but 124th in explosiveness allowed. So they've given up a bunch of big plays. Can Clayton Tune and the Houston offense break those big plays? I give SMU the coaching advantage in this game with Dykes over Holgerson. If I had to bet this game, I would bet SMU. Fortunately, I don't have to bet this game, so I'm not going to.
Fortunately, you're not forced to bet this. And Chris, I know we kind of popped this one on you, but you can pass, or if you have anything on it, we can talk about it.
Well, my square buddy, SMU's his play of the day, so take that for what it's worth. I spoke about it with somebody that does college football much better than I do, and we both came to the same conclusion that there really isn't an edge either direction on it, but we both kind of lean toward SMU's way for whatever reason, but I'm not going to play it. The Houston annoyed me earlier in the season, smashing Tulsa when I bet Tulsa in a bad spot. So
all right.
I want to see him lose.
Well, I want to see SMU keep going because I think I might have a little ticket on them beating Cincinnati for the American Athletic Championship. So we'll see who's going to be worthy of playing them in the championship game. And for anybody that used to comment on Twitter, that's gone right now. I think on our YouTube channel is where some comments went through last week at theoddsbreakers.com. So if you have a quick comment or just a quick breakdown on a game you need, please check out the YouTube channel at the Odds Breakers. So let's move on to some NFL guys. And obviously there's a lot of unknown, but we always cover the primetime games. Dallas versus Minnesota. Minnesota's now -3. I mean, this flipped, and the Dak Prescott news made it flip. Actually, I'm gonna correct that. This is more -2.5 in most books. I think I found a 3 that was like a -100. I probably should have wrote 2.5. The total on this, I should have looked. I don't know if it moved or not. I'm guessing it moved under with the Dak news. Wasn't around 54, Kyle?
Yeah, most of them are 53 or 52.5 now.
Okay. Here's the thing. What's Dak worth? I think it's a good conversation piece to talk about what Dak is worth. I have him about 5 points over White, or his backup right there, right? But I agree.
Backup.
I think it's White. Kyle, do you know?
I was just going to say, I mean, how big of a drop off is it from Dak Prescott to whoever is going to be the backup? I don't even know that anybody has that clear of an answer as to who will be the starter for Dallas. They don't have the good backup. Look, I mean, I think we can bash Andy Dalton some, but Dalton was a pretty good backup for Dallas. So, I think that their backup situation isn't near as strong as it used to be.
Yeah, I agree. And seeing this move like 5.5 points is interesting. I think it should move 6 points because you're not going through a key number. That's what always bugs me. People say I'm worth 5 points. Well, what percentage do you have them? Because obviously going from a 3 to a 7 is a lot more of a point differential than going from -2.5 or just 3 to 2.5. A completely different story there. But I have Minnesota -3 if Dak's not playing still because the matchup advantage. I think the Cowboys should just be able to run all over Minnesota. Dallas can run the ball, maybe the best team, I would say, with Ezekiel Elliott and Pollard back there, probably the best rushing team, maybe top 2 or 3. And the Vikings are one of the bottom rushing defenses in the league. They give up a lot, so I don't see why Dallas doesn't keep running. Now, I know Vikings can run the ball some, but Dallas is a little bit better against the run. Both these teams are equal in net yards per play with Dak. I think it should be -3 with Dak, and I think it should be -3 without Dak. Any thoughts? I'll start with you, Chris.
It says La'el Collins now backup.
Reputable source.
I think Cooper looks like Cooper Rush would be the starter here at quarterback from Central Michigan. So a huge drop off there.
Cooper Rush was the starter. and I don't know why I said right. I meant Rush. He was the backup before.
Oh no, yeah, I misread that. Sorry, guys.
Yeah, because I would think it's Cooper, and I have a 5-point drop to him is probably what I meant to say. But here's the thing. It's not bettable for me between the threes anyway. But I thought it was important to talk about what the dropout is. Chris, do you have any thoughts, or you want me to move to Kyle quick?
I think the drop off is not as big as people think it is. The Cowboys are a solid team from at all aspects of play, and Minnesota's got their problems. They've been basically overachieving on defense most of the season. If I'm not mistaken, Minnesota's a pretty average defense. And last year, let's see where I have them rated. Amazingly enough, Minnesota's number 14 in the league in defense. They were 31 or 32 last year. So they've been kind of overachieving this year a little bit. I just see Dallas, especially wounded soldier type first game out. Boy, now you're really going to get that maximum effort from Dallas. I'm hoping that this line overreacts so I can play Dallas. I was planning on playing Dallas anyway. And everybody's 3 across the board now in 52 to 53 or 52 and a half. But yeah, that's my feelings. Keep on betting Minnesota.
Kyle, you know what? And I agree with that statement. I mean, here's the problem. Dallas can afford to drop a game or drop Dak because they're still kind of leading, right? I mean, if Dak was hurt and he needs another week, they can afford this spot. It's not like they're a losing record. So that makes me think that they might give Dak that rest. I'd trust Dak more to play if they're a 500 team or a losing team. Kyle, anything?
Nothing strong for me. Minnesota 30th run defense so far this year. So I would think that Dallas could run the ball regardless of who's quarterback here. Yep. The question is can Cooper Rush do enough, passing it? Obviously with Prescott, they can move the ball on anybody with those receivers. I think I would lean to the under if I had to bet the total here, just because I would think that it would be a more conservative game script than what we would have seen if Prescott had played. Not having said that, we don't know that Prescott won't play. So this is something that we'll have to monitor as we get closer. Guys, I don't know that I'll bet this game. And if I do, I'm going to wait till really close before it.
Yeah, I have. I forgot. I actually have a play on Dallas, that pick already from earlier when it first opened. And I'm not that worried if Prescott plays or not. And I know it sounds silly. I just feel like Dallas has enough to cover it. I mean, it's not an optimal state, but I really feel the wounded soldier comes out and they'll have a decent chance here.
Yeah, if that gets above 3 because of the Dak injury, I'm definitely going to be considering a play on the Cowboys here for sure. Absolutely. Winded duck. All right, let's move on to the next game. We have the Giants versus Kansas City Chiefs. The spread's about 9.5. The total is about 52.5. Kansas City, man, worst defense. And then you think they have the best offense, and all of a sudden they score 3 points against one of the worst defense in the Tennessee Titans last week. I mean, call it a hiccup, I guess, but at the same time, their offense has been hot and cold all year long. I've won some money on Kansas City. I'm so pissed at myself for not betting Tennessee. I did tease them, but I teased them with a loser. I teased them with the Eagles from 2.5 to 8.5. So that didn't help me last week. But I can't bet the Chiefs. And I can't bet them above 7. There's absolutely no freaking way. My pure number 7.5. But I lean to the Giants, and past the 10, I might even play the Giants. Kyle, any thoughts on that? It looks like Chris had a drop due to his internet.
I would lean to the over if I had to bet anything in this game. I still think the Chiefs offense is very good. The turnovers, are we going to keep seeing Patrick Mahomes with the ridiculous turnovers in the red zone? I don't think we could predict that to continue to happen nonstop. The Giants defense really hasn't been good, compared to what you would have thought. And obviously we know the Kansas City defense is terrible. So I would think even Daniel Jones and the Giants offense could score some points on the Chiefs. So I'm going to lean to the over if I had to bet this game. I don't know what to do with the side on this one.
Chris, anything on this garbage?
Garbage? Are you kidding me?
Oh.
I had no choice but to play the Giants. Sometimes teams are just who the stats say they are. It's scary to be stepping in front of that powerhouse that scored 3 points last week against the Tennessee Titans defense, but you got to do it sometimes. Hey, we all know that somehow, some way, Kansas City can come out and blow the doors off of any team, but they haven't been able to do it, and that's the problem. And Giants are getting healthier. I think that they've got a fighting chance. I've already bet the +10. My metrics say that the line is off. It should be hard to believe, but it should be less than 7. Mm-hmm. And the thing that I worry about is the turnover regressions. I believe Kansas City is -11 on turnovers. So, when you do the math on something like that and you apply it toward each team, if they just break even on turnovers, then that averages out to changing their spread 5 points in a single game. So technically, to be able to find value on it, you'd have to have a spread of less than 5 on your, in your metrics, so to speak, assuming equal turnovers, which I actually do. So even if they can break even on the turnover battle, I think they cover the 10. And you'll notice or remember, this is the one exception possibly, but traditionally Kansas City doesn't care about separation. So they win, they don't cover. They win, they don't cover. They win, they don't cover. So now they're having problems even winning. If they get the chance to put their foot on the jugular, I think that they'll put the foot on the jugular in this case, though.
Yeah, I guess maybe they're so understanding that their defense is so bad, maybe they do get a bigger margin, is what you think. I have Tyreek Hill on my fantasy team, and I'm not benching him, if you want to put it that way. I still expect big things. He's still projected one of the top receivers. But there's just no way I can't bet, and I would still bet the Giants here at the 10 or the 10.5. I think you might get it. This is a Monday night primetime game. I think you might get 10.5. Chris will probably be forced to bet it again at that case. But that's all I have to say really on this one. Kyle, final thoughts before we move on?
I lean to the over, but I don't have anything on the side here.
All right, well, let's move into our most likely team to win outright then. And just to recap, my plays are going to be on Michigan State and Iowa, 3.5 and 4, a little bit on the money line for both of those. But I'm going first because I think I'm scared Kyle is going to pick the same one as me. So we've done this before. I'm going with Hawaii. And Hawaii's +175. This team's a nice 0.4 net yard per play. Utah State's -0.6 net yards per play. Utah State coming off a big win against Colorado State. I think they're outgained that game. Hawaii can't stop the run well, but Utah State can't run the ball. And that's kind of what it is. Utah State is a passing team, but actually Hawaii is somewhat good against the pass. They rank 56th in EPA per pass. So matchup-wise, I see Hawaii running all over this team. And Utah State has showed this year that they're very weak against the run. I know, obviously, it's a travel spot, but that's what Hawaii does. They travel all the time. They have to go to the mainland constantly. It doesn't matter. Utah State, the fact that they're struggling against the run, they're a very up-and-down team. I like the +175. I'm going to call that my most likely dog, over 3.5 to win outright. Kyle?
Yeah, that's not the one I was going to take. So we didn't match this time. The last couple of weeks, I've gotten the underdog to win outright. So we'll see if
you nailed last week. Was it Syracuse?
Yeah, Syracuse last week. I can't remember who it was 2 weeks ago.
I was close because I had East Carolina and they went overtime.
Oh, they went in overtime. We almost had our parlay there. Yeah, that was. We've had some good underdogs to win outright. I'll be really quick here. North Carolina over Notre Dame for my most likely upset here this week. Hamilton, the star safety for Notre Dame, out is a big deal against Sam Howell in this passing attack for North Carolina. North Carolina, a high variance team. They could lose by quite a bit, and it wouldn't be shocking, but I think they could win this game, so I'll take North Carolina.
Hey, Chris, I know we're putting this on you on the spot. Have you thought about a most likely dog to win outright?
I do like your Hawaii, but I have to go. I'm going to the NFL. Aren't I allowed to go to the NFL?
You are allowed to go wherever you want, man.
So I'll go with Dallas probably is at this point, but to be original, I'll go with the Lions because I just think this is one of the few chances they have to do it, and I know that they're going to be they're not entirely the public dog. We're going to have to see what kind of play they get on Sunday, but the schedule that the Lions have played, you put a rookie head coach into the lineup and that everybody universally ridiculed. And what does he have to do? He has to play the AFC West predicted winner, San Francisco. He's got to play the NFC North predicted winner, Green Bay. He's got to play Harbaugh and Baltimore. He has to go on the road to Chicago, divisional rivalry, then Minnesota playoff contender and possible division winner, then has to go and play the AFC number 1 seed and then the contender for the NFC number 1 seed. And you're going to tell me you can make a judgment on the Lions? I mean, come on. They've had a lot of tough calls, and boy, they're licking their chops at being able to play an average team at home for once and not be down right away and have to play from behind where Goff has to throw 40 times a game.
That's a great pick, Chris. It makes a lot of sense to me, especially the way you put it. Strength of schedule is key this time of year. I love it. So with sake of time, we have to go, but check us out, The Odds Breakers. If you like any of our information or plays, we have free picks for people that just want to, check us out as well. Kyle, where we can find your place?
HunterSportsPicks.com. I've got the free picks newsletter there as well if you don't want to sign up for premium, and appreciate everybody tuning in. And Chris, thanks for coming on with us today. It was great.
Yeah. Thanks, Chris.
Yeah, my pleasure. I've met Kyle in Kiev within the last couple of months. Both great guys. Enjoy exchanging information. It's all about networking and sharing information and finding good people.
Awesome, Chris. Where can we find your info and plays?
Oh, well, I've got my Twitter, Las Vegas Chris, and I've got a YouTube channel. I've got a profile up at Wager Talk. You can find me anywhere.
You can find Chris anywhere. Make sure you check him out. He's always putting out great information for you. Thank you, everyone, for joining in this. Have a great weekend and go get some winners.